This church's ministry and the service that this church has had to Mom and Dad in particular. Bill's life journey began September 14th, 1916 on the farm of his parents, Abraham and Sarah Braun. The place was the Amsterdam School District in the vicinity of Rosenfeld near Altona. He was the fifth son born to a family of 14 children, 10 brothers and 4 sisters. One sister died at birth, and 6 of his brothers have predeceased him. They all began their schooling in the one classroom school of Amsterdam. I remember Dad talking about that school. Bill's father was farming a half section of land, and he sought to provide work for his children. This led to the family to a larger operation made available to them at Manitou. And as a result, Bill's schooling was interrupted. He never completed grade 8. But because of the Great Depression of the 30s, Grandpa Braun was able to return the 2,000-acre farm back to the former owner, Senator Sharp. I don't know if Bill still owns that land or not. That's his son. Because he was a committed farmer, Grandpa Braun went looking for another farm. This led the Braun family to the Sperling area. The Braun family were faithful church attenders in the small Mennonite church in Sperling. Bill was invited to sing in the choir. During a series of revival meetings led by Reverend H.S.MOV, Bill gave his life to Jesus Christ and was baptized. This is where he also met one of the daughters of Abram Cron. Very interesting little comment that Mom and Dad, as they make this, Dad said he looked at all the pretty women in the congregation and decided that Susan Cron at that point was the one that he would fix his heart on. On August 1st, 1942, Bill married Susan Cron. Their early marriage life included enrolling in the Altona Bible School. And that winter, Bill worked in a lumber operation in Kapuskasing, Ontario. Rosella was their first child, arrived in August of 1943. Bill shared his time between farming and working for the Winnipeg Supply and Fuel to give a monthly amount of $15 to the Canadian Red Cross as a substitute for serving in the armed forces in World War II. Bill would become a lifelong member and volunteer with the Red Cross. Well, Bill rented farmland first in Fanisdale and then Culross. Clarence and Marilyn, Stan, that's me, Lois, Patricia, and Velma were added to the family. And during this time, Bill and Susan and their family attended the Elm Creek Mennonite Brethren Church. In 1953, the family moved to Manitou, where Bill was able to purchase his own farm. It was known as the Demo Place. And there, Bernice, Betty, and Lorna were added to the growing family. I just wanted to read one comment that Mom and Dad wrote about that. They said the opportunity to buy land in Manitou led to a long move and a permanent relocation. The beginning was tough. Lois broke her leg. I don't know if Lois, you probably remember that. The children came down with French mouth and scarlet fever. But surrounded by the prayers and encouragements of friends and relatives, the Lord was with us. Because the house at the Demo Place was too small, another child was on the way, Bill bought another farm 10 miles east of the Demo Place in 1959. It became known as the Fishbrook Place, and it was here that the youngest child, Karen, was born. This became the family farm until Bill, Dad, retired from farming in 1979. And during this era, Bill and Susan invested their life and witness in the Manitou Mennonite Brethren Church, and then the Christian Missionary Alliance Church in Morden. They were also instrumental, I think, in being founding members of an alliance or a church plant that was planted in Manitou for a number of years, and they were a part of that as well. And then, when they moved to Morden, they reconnected with the Alliance Church in Morden. The Fishbrook Farm era was marked by the children finishing high school, and then further education, moving into their chosen careers. In 1973, the oldest child, our oldest sister, Rosella, became sick with cancer and died March 17, 1974. In 1979, Bill and Susan retired to Morden, and this is what they wrote. Since some of our children were living in Morden, we retired there in 1979. We did some traveling with friends, visiting Marilyn and her family in Rome. We made trips to Florida, and were able to check in on Susan's brother in Illinois on the way. In Morden, where they retired to, Bill began to explore life in the town through volunteering in the Morden Alliance Church, playing golf, traveling, fishing. He loved to fish, gleaning apples, potatoes, onions that were prominent in the fields and the yards in Morden and the surrounding places. Almost 20 years later, in 1998, they moved to Winnipeg to be closer to some of the family and to be closer to the health resources. And this is where the signs of dementia began to be noted in Bill. Bill and Susan enjoyed the fellowship with the people of Morrow Gospel Church. Bill and Susan became active members of the Winnipeg Seniors Choir, singing with and for others brought our parents so much joy. The final address change came about in May of 2004 when Bill and Susan moved to Donwood Personal Care Home. From December 31st, 2006 until Bill died, June 6, 2012, Bill became a beloved resident of Donwood's long-term care facility. He was predeceased by his oldest child, Priscilla Braun, 1974. His beloved wife of 67 years, Susan, 2010. It's interesting, when Mom passed away, that he kept on looking for Mom, couldn't understand where Mom was. And even though we told him, repeatedly the sisters told him she's with Jesus, he somehow was okay with that for a minute or two, and then he seemed to forget where that was perhaps, and would ask, where is my Susan? This predeceased by his parents, Abraham and Sarah Braun, 1985. His baby sister, Sarah, 1929. His brothers, David, 1935. Henry, 1984. Thomas in 1995. Martin in 2001. Abraham, 2011. And then Ben, just this spring, in February 2012. Be missed by his children, Clarence, his wife Ruth, and by the way, Ruth just lost her dad just here a couple of weeks ago, and so for them, this is a double journey that they're walking through with grief in their lives. Grateful for the parents who are home with the Lord, but obviously going to miss them. Marilyn Bargelli and Carlo are living in Rome. Myself and my wife Annette, Lois Penner, her husband Dave, Patricia Weens, Pat, who was at the piano, and Dave, Velma Schmidt, Meneluk, and George, Bernice Link, Lorna Richardson, and Doug, Elizabeth, actually we call her Betty, Betty Savoy, Dwayne and Betty Savoy, Karen Braun, 19 children, and 15 great-grandchildren. Also surviving him are his sisters, Olga Penner, Hilda Clausen, Hilda and Jack, Lydia Crunwell, Barton. Brothers George and Ann, or George Braun and Ann, his wife, Peter Braun, John Braun, and Susan, as well as nieces, nephews, and extended family and friends. Family is grateful for the love and support and prayers and encouraging words received through Bill's long life of family and friends. And the family especially wants to extend a heartfelt thanks to the staff involved with Dad's excellent care at Donwood. They treated him like family, like one of their own. And I just want to express my appreciation this morning to the chaplain who is here, Wanda, who has faithfully and continues to serve in that capacity, and does just a wonderful job of ministering to people in that last season of their life. Thank you, Wanda, for that. Interment has taken place this morning at Chapel Lawn Gardens, June 11th, 2012. I just want to read just a couple of verses out of Psalm 103. I think as grandkids, we can kind of remember this. When I talk grandkids, that's my generation. Grandpa Braun used to memorize and actually say this. I can remember him reciting this, and I think it was in Low German that I recall, but I want to read it in English this morning from Psalm 103. Bless the Lord, O my soul, and all that is within me. Bless his holy name. Bless the Lord, O my soul, and forget not all his benefits, who forgives all your iniquities, who heals all your diseases.